Welcome to the Deep Leadership Podcast. Today I'm joined by Stoyan Yankov. Stoyan is a former movie producer turned productivity and performance coach and professional speaker. He has helped over 450 companies across the globe boost their performance and establish a better culture. He's the co-author of Perform, the Unsexy Truth about startup success. Stoyan is also the host of the popular podcast Productivity Mastery, and I am excited to have him on the show to learn how we can better perform as leaders. So Stoyan, welcome to the show.
Good morning, John. And first of all, I just want to start with this. Everybody who's listening, everybody from my network, everybody from my followers and the followers of John, you got to go and you got to subscribe to Deep Leadership Podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify. Do yourself a favor, subscribe and learn how to be a better leader. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be on your podcast, John.
Hey, Stoyan, thank you for the plug. That's the first time that's ever happened. So yeah, like and subscribe. That certainly helps us get the message out. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. So first of all, just to get started, I'm always interested in how people get into the leadership space. And so why did you shift from being a movie producer of all things to a productivity coach and a professional speaker?
I've always been passionate about leadership, I guess from early ages, but at the age of 20, I read my first leadership book, and you might be laughing now, but I read the book by Robin Sharma, which you might think it's a cliche. It was called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I know, John, stay with me. But then I read maybe hundreds and thousands of more books. I would go to any leadership seminar and training, and I did a coaching degree, more like a passion as a hobby. So I graduated in the business school, actually, as a finance guy. I had a master's degree in finance, but I followed my passion to become a movie producer and an entrepreneur, having a video production company. Together with a Danish producer, we were partnering up, producing videos, movies, digital campaigns, all kind of stuff like that. But I guess my passion for helping people and being the bridge for people to come together came up with a bigger importance for me. And there was this defining moment in movies. We call it the point of no return. When the character finally decides, I got to get on this movie, the land of unexpected and uncertain. For me, that moment was when a coaching client of mine, who I've been working with for more than a year, after one session, John, he asked me, Stoyan, how did it go with the workshop that you wanted to put out? And I had this idea about, I want to put a workshop called Life is Like a Movie, be a freaking hero. So I can take all the experience I had from movie making and being a movie producer and use it as a metaphor for people to start designing their own movies. But I never did it. I never did it because I was scared. And I would always find an excuse. And I'm sure those of you listening, you probably have some of these things that you want to do this, but there's some certain fear that stops you from doing it. So my coaching client, he caught me off guard and he challenged me. He challenged me to put up my first event. And he said, you got to do your first event in 30 days. And if you don't do it, you have to pay 500 pounds to an extreme feminist organization that hates men and something that you'll never support. Nothing against feminism. I don't know why he came up with that, but it was leverage, right? So I hang up the phone. What do? I have 17 video productions to produce. I'm scared, but I did a Facebook event. Back in the time, Facebook was the thing for events, and I invited everybody. So there's no way back now.
Yeah.
So the day comes, waiting list, 60 people show up in this small room. I'm nervous. I've been practicing in front of the mirror, in front of my neighbors, and now I have to deliver. So I've been to many seminars, John. So after the first 5 minutes, I got into it. It was an okay workshop. I'm like, okay, I'm done, finally. And then there was this girl from Asia, I think Chinese girl, after the workshop. She signed up. She didn't know me. She found the event online. And she came to me and she told me, Stoyan, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah, for sure. Oh my God, thank you so much. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to survive, like, but they put you here. They think you're somebody famous or something, right? So we start chatting. And she tells me, I just wanted to share with you that this is the first time in my life that somebody tells me that I can make decisions for myself. I'm 25, and even to come to this event, I had to call my mom and I have to call my dad and I have to ask them, should I go or not? And when I get married, my husband is going to decide for me. That's how I'm brought. That's where I come from. That's that everybody in my town is this way. And now you ask me to close my eyes and see myself and my vision. And I wanted to share that I came up with a story for myself. I want to be a storyteller. I want to empower other women in China to be their own leaders and show up for themselves. And then she hugs me, John, and like hugs me, and she doesn't let go. She just holds on to me. And I'm staying like the biggest fool. I'm like, oh my God. All this time I've been holding on to my fear because I was thinking about myself. What if I fail? What if I start thinking about the one person in the room that I can actually touch? And that was for me the point of no return, and there's no going back.
I love that story. I absolutely love that story because I do think that you're right. I mean, I think even as leaders, we think of it's all about me. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this to be successful. And there's a lot of fear in leadership as well. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to embarrass myself. But yet, really what you're there for is to impact the lives around you. And if you can take that mindset where I'm not here, like I'm on stage, sure, or I'm walking around my factory right now, sure, but my job here is to impact the people around me. And I think when you have that mindset as a leader or as a speaker or as someone leading a workshop, that I'm here to impact the lives around me, I think you have much greater success. And it sounds like you found that almost it came to you as a surprise, or it came to you as you didn't plan on it, but then it showed up, and then it was like, okay, I like this is what I want to do, is impact lives.
Absolutely, man. It was the biggest gift, the biggest blessing, and I couldn't agree with you anymore. As a speaker, I used to be very nervous. Now you put me on stage, you can't get me off there. I used to be one of these guys. I don't know if you've been to any Tony Robbins events, but there's these videos online. You can see Tony Robbins. He's closing his eyes. He's jumping on a little trampoline. He's getting in state. And I would model this and copy this, maybe the first 50 or 100 speeches that I did.
Yeah.
And now I don't need to do anything. I just show up, and I can't wait to be there because it's not about me.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about me. And I think when leaders, when speakers, workshop leaders, anyone's coaching, when you recognize it's not about you, then you can really make an impact. I think that's sometimes we have a hard time getting out of our own head. And once we do, when we recognize that it's all about others, and I mean, I always talk about leadership being, it's our job is to motivate a group of people to get something done, right? So it's motivation, it's a group of people, and it's objective. And sometimes we get lost in all the complexities of leadership, but it's really about those three things. And that means being present and being involved, and again, making sure to take care of the people around you, because they're going to take care of the goals of the organization. And it seems simple to me, but it seems to be lost with many leaders today, for sure.
It is simple, and as you said, it's about creating an environment and removing the obstacles for people to do what they're supposed to do, which also comes with helping them clarify what they should do based around the bigger purpose, the objectives, and so on and so forth, and providing all the resources and assets, and consistently being, somebody said this, it wasn't me, but somebody said, as a leader, you're like a gardener. You show up every day and there's new weeds and I don't know, bees or like some different kind of animals or whatever. You got to protect the garden.
Yeah.
You got to show up every day. We talk about it prior to the podcast. It's, people want a sexy formula the 5-step thing that will change your culture and your leadership. There's no 5-step thing. You got to show up every day. You got to do the boring stuff, the basic stuff.
Yep.
It is simple, but it's not easy to be consistent.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's powerful for sure. And that kind of gets into a little bit about what I want to talk to you about. You and your co-author, you developed a methodology, you call it Perform. Now you've successfully rolled this out to companies across the globe. So give us a little bit of the essence of what Perform is, because I think what I love about the title of your book is it's the unsexy truth about success. So what's the unsexy truth about success? Because I think we were just touching on it.
Absolutely. So Perform is a methodology. It's a set of principles and strategies and tools, but in an essence, it's a system that helps leaders to see their culture and their team from a bird eye view and address the obstacles that are on the way for them to perform consistently well. So Perform is an acronym. It stands for, and I'm going to briefly go through the different areas.
Yep.
P, purpose and values. Why do we do what we do? What are the kind of principles and values that we stand for? Are we, as leaders, good enough to articulate and communicate the values and principles across the organization, not just to communicate them, but to empower people to live them? So no matter who is the person from the company, we live the same values. When somebody breaches the culture, there's consequences. When we are about to hire somebody new, it's not just about, oh, we can get them for cheap and they can do this thing, but are they fitting the culture? Are they fitting our values? Is everybody connected to our purpose, to our mission? Okay, so that's P, purpose and values. Number 2, effective planning, E for effective planning. How do we plan? How do we set goals? How do we coach our team, the people that we lead, to be better in their own time management? R is roles and responsibilities. Surprisingly, by the way, spoiler alert, roles and responsibilities, we only included that because we needed an R for the framework, right? so it was like, okay, roles and responsibilities, okay, that fits. But what are we going to talk about? Everybody knows, right? John, you're the chief executive officer. Lydia is the chief marketing officer. What does that even mean? Especially in startups, I love it. I'm the CMO of our startup. How many people are you? Oh, we're 3 people. Ooh, okay, great. Who are your chief of? But okay, it's good for your business card when you meet customers, fine. But what do you actually do? The CMO of one company is going to do completely different things than the CMO of another company. What's important is everybody understands what their responsibilities are.
Yeah.
What is the thing that you're the last person in command? You're accountable for. One person in command, one person being accountable. Do we have any processes and strategies so people are consistently clear what they're supposed to do, what is expected from them? And how much do we care for our people as leaders? So we regularly have conversations with the people that we lead and ask them, what do you want to grow into? In the next 6, 12, 18 months, what are the kind of skills? Is there anything that you love to do, but you're currently not doing with this position? I want you to win. I want to grow you. I want to help you. What are the kind of things that maybe we haven't spoken about, but you might want to do? Okay. Not many organizations do that, unfortunately. F, focus and execution. Okay. One thing to plan. There's some people that are great in planning, but it's about getting things done.
Yeah.
As a movie producer, I show up on set. Amazing. If I don't click the button or the cameraman doesn't click the button, I don't care what's your production plan and storyboard. You're not going to get your movie done.
Yeah.
You're not going to get your production done. You got to get shit done. You got to move, right? In any kind of business. And in reality, it's so easy to get distracted these days.
Yeah.
So identifying the vital few, the things that really matter for each person in your team, and then focusing, executing with a high speed, letting go of perfectionism, letting go of all the different villains of focus and execution, so you can actually perform. Okay, optimal energy, your well-being, mentally, physically, emotionally. What do we do as leaders to, first of all, be a great example for our people, showing up and taking good care of ourselves, but also creating a culture where we empower different habits that people built so they can be feeling well, but also when you're feeling well, you're performing well. So what do we do as leaders? Do we do anything? And people expect that these days, by the way, especially the younger generations. Okay, second R, robust communication, the internal communication. And I love a metaphor. By the way, you need to interview this great leader. His name is Shane Herbert. He's a cinematographer, director of photography, one of the big guys in Hollywood. He did movies like Terminator, Salvation. He did Need for Speed. He did the Guns N' Roses music videos. He's a great guy, great leader. I had him on my podcast, Productivity Mastery. We talk about leadership and ask him what are your biggest challenges as a leader. And just to give you an idea, he had to lead 250 people only in the camera department on the Terminator movie with Christian Bale. And it's a crazy, right? Crazy environment, very intense. He said, my biggest challenge as a leader is to make sure that every person from my team is making the same movie. Instead of everybody is doing a different movie.
Yeah.
I think about it in the business context. Is the marketing and the sales and the operations department, are they making the same movie? Are we on the same page? How do we communicate? What are our systems to communicate? How often do we give each other feedback? How do we create an environment as leaders for people to be able to share, to speak freely, to come to you as a manager, as a leader and say, John, last week on the meeting, you were not prepared. And I think this is the reason we lost the contract. Let me tell you what I think you should do next time. Do we create this space or people are afraid to talk? So robust communication. And last but not least, M for mental toughness. Our capability to deal with stressors. I think there was a definition by John Doerr. It was something around our capability to perform at the upper bound of our talent, regardless of the competitive circumstances. Something around these lines. Don't quote me on that. but it's like, regardless of the competitive circumstances, how do we show up when things are not going by plan? How do we develop this mindset, this positive can-do mindset, so when there's challenges and stress and difficult moments, we can remain calm. And not only remain calm, we can keep our team's emotional temperature down so we can focus on solving the challenges as opposed to being and staying in negative energy. So these 7 areas, John, this is the essence of the Perform methodology. Just like you, I love to learn from the best. So I've been done more than 250 interviews with some of the most successful leaders on the planet, including the founder of Reebok, the president of Starbucks, unicorn founders, book authors, amazing leaders like yourself. And I'm trying to find out what are the best strategies, what are the best tools that they use. So yeah, every time we have a training, a workshop, we do coaching with different teams. If they need any specific tool, of course, it is my job to share some ideas. But at the end of the day, I'm just a moderator. I'm just showing up and providing space for people to find what are the gaps in our culture, in our performance, and what can we do to improve on that. And just very simple things to wrap up with this section. You might want to check this out for yourself and your team now. Very simple exercise. You can find it online as well. These letters, the 7 letters of Perform. Sit down with your team, on your management team. I do it often with my team, and ask them to assess, to be really honest and assess, how are we doing in each of these 7 areas from the Perform framework? Be honest. Don't worry. Just give a number. 1, we're not doing anything. 10, there's no space for improvement. 5, we're doing something, but not enough. Okay? And ask your people to vote, to assess individually. And then just put your papers on the table and start comparing and asking good questions. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes I did it with my team. One time I did it with my team. One of my interns, she comes and I'm like, all right, effective planning. I think it's a 9. The productivity coach, right? And she said, I would say it's a 4 out of 10. Ooh, interesting. Okay.
So there's a failure in robust communication there. So it's actually you
It
make
was
in
actually
your head.
communication. It was
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
communication.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got
So
it.
in your head, you have a great plan,
I
right?
had it, man. No, but the thing is, you're like, okay, I failed the communication.
Yeah,
She's going home at 2 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, I changed the plan. I
yeah,
did not communicate it with her. In my head, everything makes sense.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
invite you, everybody, to sit down, spend an hour, do this exercise, and then see what are some of the areas that you have some gaps with. In your
Mm.
head, maybe everything makes sense. Your team might see it differently.
Yeah, when I went through the perform methodology myself and read through it, one of the things that stood out for me is that that's why I love the title of the book or the subtitle Unsexy Truth is that it is unsexy truth. It is what you need to do every day, every week, every month and every quarter if you want to be successful. So it's not the magic pill that overnight everything's going to be wonderful. It's the execution, the daily execution of these principles are going to get you to your long-term success. And that's one of the things I like about it. And I think more and more entrepreneurs need to see that. It's not, you talk about unicorn entrepreneurs. There are those unicorns that get to $1 billion in sales in a short amount of time, but that is not most companies. That wasn't Nike. Nike took 18 years to make money, right? So that is more the normal approach to what business is like. You got to grind it out, and it is difficult. And I think more entrepreneurs need to hear that message versus I'm just looking to win the lottery. I mean, I think people think they're going to do one or two things and they're going to have this magic success. They're going to use ClickFunnels and they're going to grow, or they're going to use this tool and they're going to grow, and they just need to do content marketing and they're going to grow. But really, it's all those things on a consistent basis over time. You're going to get those results. And I think it's unsexy, but it's true. And that's what I like about this book. It's like, here's the real things you need to be doing. And that's one of the things I think that really stands out when I read through the material.
And I really think this whole unicorn rush is just, I mean, come on, man. Like, I know it makes great magazine titles and online titles and everything, but you've been talking to some of these people. I have the privilege to talk to some unicorn founders and people like that. And I never met somebody with, I want to build a unicorn, like
Right.
these guys were, I want to build something amazing. I believe in this product. They start building and at some point they get into it, not even 1 billion but sales, right? It's valuation 1 billion. And some people might actually have no revenue and be like, I think
that's the one thing that really gets me is these people that their value, they're what they call it, pre-revenue. We're pre-revenue. What do you mean you're pre-revenue? We haven't sold anything yet, but we're worth $1 billion. I'm like, how does that work?
That's like companies like, if you have a look, companies like Spotify didn't reach break even. Revolut didn't reach break even yet. Doesn't mean they're not successful. They're not gonna have but the thing is, I think we need to have a real conversation how freaking difficult it is to be an entrepreneur. And you have to set the right expectations. I mean, you have to sacrifice a lot usually. Hours, like you miss wedding of your best friend, you miss birthday parties, you feel lonely, you feel completely overwhelmed many times over. And once you think everything is coming together, boom, here's the next crisis. And you feel, what am I doing? I did a mastermind session once as part of one startup program that I've been running with the founders, and I decided to join one of the groups. To give you an idea, every group, a small group of 4 or 5 people, they had the task, the exercise to share a challenge. And the other people in the group, we have to brainstorm ideas to help them to resolve the challenge in a private, confidential kind of setup. I can share the main idea because I'm not going to mention names, and I think it's pretty common. But we were 5 people in the group. 3 people out of the 4 other people than me shared the same challenge. Stoyan, my company is doing really well. I'm really successful. But when it's 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and I go home, I can't switch off because
Yeah.
I feel guilty. I feel like I haven't done enough. There's so much more to do. And I don't know what to do because, yes, we're doing actually great. We are way beyond expectations with revenue, with things. And I'm working really, really hard. I'm working weekends, but I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling not good enough. I'm looking at all these stories of these successful companies and I compare myself, and it's very hard not to compare yourself. But the truth is, talk to these people, listen to some podcasts like the Deep Leadership. Listen to the stories of the people, the founder of Reebok. You mentioned Nike. I know Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok. It took him 21 years to finally scale and make it big in the US.
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
failed attempts, 21 years.
Yeah.
Some people that are listening probably not 21 years old,
I know this is the thing that's really powerful. And I think people need to be exposed to that because I think a lot of entrepreneurs go into it thinking that they're going to be an overnight success. And I think it just takes time. It takes effort. When you build something from nothing, right? You're a builder and you're going to have critics. You're going to have people opposing you. You're going to be, you're going to be faced with environmental situations that you never expected, like, hey, a pandemic or a supply chain shortage or political changes or economic downturns or global crisis that's slow things down. There's all these things you're going to face, and that's one of the things that really stands out for me in your material is I think they're two related. One is the optimal energy and then the mental toughness, because I think the two of them play off each other, because I think you have to take care of yourself if you're going to be there for the long run and be there for your people when things get really tough. Because I think if you're already stressed to the nines, if you're not eating healthy, you're not working out, you don't have some sort of a spiritual thing in your life, some sort of way you're growing mentally, and you're struggling with your weight, your health, and all these sort of things, and when the bad times come, you're going to break, you're going to snap, because you're not robust. You can't handle the pressures of what's going to come at you. So I really think the idea of optimal energy is critical, because it really plays a role in that mental toughness to be in the game for whatever comes down the road. You need to be mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, in some cases, prepared for what may come down the pike. And I think that's something that is really important in this book.
Well, thank you so much, John. And I couldn't agree anymore. They're so connected.
Yeah.
When you pay attention to your energy, physically, mentally, spiritually, when you're strong, when you show up strong, and being that, I'm following you on Instagram, by the way. If you follow John, you'll see he's posting all these kind of pictures of being in the gym, hustling, just taking care of his energy, his exercise. It's, you got to show up daily. And, let me be honest. 2020 came, pandemic. It's not an excuse, but I gained some weight. I gained some weight, and for 2-3 years, I was kind of mediocre with my shape. So I would eat well, I would drink water, like I'll do most of the things as much as I can because I travel like crazy. But I was okay. But I was lacking consistent exercise. And 4 or 5 weeks ago, I decided I need to show up again, man. What is this? I mean, how do I want other people to show up if I'm not in my best shape? So simple stuff, John. Everybody can find these habit trackers online on your phone. You get a bullet journal or like a spreadsheet. That's what I did. I got a spreadsheet, and here's what I wrote. Okay, drink 3 liters of water. Only 1 coffee a day. Meditate for 15 minutes. Exercise.
Yep.
And a few more things. These are the habits I want to do on a daily basis. And I share the spreadsheet with my team and with a few other people, so they can see when it is green and it's red. And I'm not 100% perfect, I gotta say. Now I'm traveling some days, I don't do the exercise or whatever. But it's like, hey, you just gotta show up. I'm probably not gonna do the most intense and perfect exercise every day. No, I'm just going to show up and I'm going to be in the gym, or I'm going to go for a run and do some push-ups. But it's the consistency. Consistency is the answer. Make it simple for you in this dynamic and busy business life and life in general, so you can follow through.
Yeah.
But how can you remove all the obstacles? So, get a personal trainer. It's actually surprisingly cheap if you think about it.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
a personal trainer, because then you have, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business leader, the last thing you want is to think about another thing. What should I exercise today? Make more decisions. That's what stops me to go to the gym, to make more decisions. But when I know that there's this person waiting for me, and I'm going to just show up, switch off my mind, and just execute.
That's a great plug for our sponsor, Liberty Strength. If you are looking to get better physically, you reach out to Liberty Strength, and they're a sponsor of the show. He's also Jeremy Clevenger's my personal trainer. And so, there's a plug for my sponsor. Thank you.
There you go. Honestly, it's a game changer.
It really is. Find yourself someone who can hold you accountable to the results you're trying to get. And I think it helps even with, like, it even has a bit as a, you think about it like athletes, right? They have strength coach. They might have a mental coach. They might have someone that does massages and works on their nutrition coach. Right. And same thing as entrepreneurs, we need to have some coaches around us. Right. So you might have a business coach, you might have a mentor, but I really highly recommend getting someone that can help you stay accountable to your health goals as well. I think that's important. We got to build up ourselves so we can be ready when the storms come, for sure. And they're going to come. They will come. I guarantee it.
And maybe just to wrap up, because I know we're getting close to the end of this episode, but just to wrap up, the one thing I'm super fascinated and obsessed about, and you talk about personal trainer, right? Productivity.
Yeah.
How do I get the most out of my time? For those of you listening, if you are not doing that, this might be the game changer. And this is simply, you ready for it, John?
Yeah.
People are complaining that they don't have time to plan their time. This is one of the biggest excuses that I'm getting. Like, it's not even a joke. I talk to leadership, to management, to lower level employees. Stoyan, I love your time management tools, but I don't have time to plan my time. Really, I wonder why. Maybe you have not allocated any time to plan your time. So now you have no time for anything, including planning. So, okay, don't be that person. The elite performers, the leaders, the top entrepreneurs and business leaders, they create a system. They create a method. I don't care. I don't really care what method this could be, but you got to have a system. And if I can share the system that I'm following, maybe that finish with that one, but you can find many different ones. Don't have to follow this one. It's the mindset. You can't keep things in your head. You need to organize your thoughts on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet, on your phone, on an app. Doesn't matter. You always start with the end in mind. What are the goals I want to achieve in the business? What are the most important goals? There's different methodologies, OKRs, KPIs, you name it, right? You find one, you stick to it. Define the goals, make them measurable, make them time-bound, start from there. Then the second part, goals. The second part, priorities. Within these goals, what are my personal priorities? Let's say in the business. You can see priorities, activities I do to make progress on my goals. For example, for me, it could be growing and coaching my team, attracting high-level clients, performing and satisfying my current clients. This could be my top 3 priorities. What percentage of my time gets into these top 3 priorities when I identify them? And you have to be honest with yourself. 5%, 10%. Okay, interesting. These are your priorities. You spend 5% on them. What do you have to say no to so you can focus on making progress on your priorities so you can achieve the goals? Okay, goals, priorities. The third layer, daily focus. How do I organize my day on a daily basis? And if there's one thing you want to get out of this episode, you want to allocate 20 to 30 minutes, block it in your calendar. This is your time for time management. What do I do usually? I review my previous day. Okay, let me have a look at the goals from yesterday. What progress did I make? How did my meetings go? What outcomes did I produce? My team, you just review everything, right? And then there's a 5-step but very simple process. First, I'm dumping everything. You can call this step capturing everything. You look at your meetings, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? Usually in my case, because I'm very ambitious, there's 40 or 50 different things that I potentially might want to do. And this is what most people to-do list is. But the problem is, I don't know what's the outcome. Budget, meeting with John. It's like, okay, I can have a meeting for 2 hours and not get anything done. What's the outcome? Ask yourself, what's the outcome, right? So you group things together. This is connected to the podcast with John. This is connected to my marketing. This is connected to this conference. Great. What is the actual outcome? What do I want to get out of it? What's the end result? What does done look like? Follow up with leads. Many entrepreneurs follow up with leads. Hello, lead. I just wanted to follow up. Bye. Check. You don't want to follow up with leads. You want something to happen. Maybe you want to close the contract. Maybe you want to make sure that your customer is feeling there's nobody else in the world that will serve them like the way you do. I don't know. But what's your outcome? And then step number 4, prioritize, delegate, and I call it your daily menu. Like you start kind of looking at all these outcomes and you start asking yourself, what are the action steps so I can produce these outcomes with the easiest possible way? And I want to time it, John. I'm going to say, well, I don't know, writing these 3 emails, 45 minutes. Can I delegate them to somebody from my team, somebody else? No. Okay, good. So I make a big list. I delegate and I prioritize and ask myself, what is low priority, mid priority, high priority? Different colors. Step number 5, the most important one, schedule. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. You look at your list. Now that is very thoughtfully organized. And then you ask yourself, what are the high impact, most important things I want to allocate in my calendar? Let me start putting them. And I start like, okay, 8 to 9:30, write 2 pages for my upcoming book. Good. Meeting with John, 1 hour. Good. 15-minute break. And then it's like, wow, I have 16 more hours of things that I want to do that I'm not able to allocate. Maybe they're not so important. Maybe I have to delegate or I have to say no to. But it's real, right? So it's simple. Even if you don't do it so detailed as you do, promise me, listeners, that you're going to start having a to-do list and doing it consistently.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't plan, then the day gets out from under you, right? You get distracted with the urgent issues and you don't work on the important issues. And I think that's really the takeaway there is, what are you doing to plan your day so that you make sure you take care of what needs to get done and not just you're racing from one urgent issue to another that may not be a high priority issue. So really important stuff here. Leaders, I hope you're listening to this. I hope you're taking notes. If you're in your car, I hope you're not taking notes. I hope you're driving. But I really want to encourage you to look for this book. We'll have a link in the show notes. It's called Perform: The Unsexy Truth About Startup Success. Stoyan, how can listeners find out more about you and this book?
So thank you so much, John, for the opportunity. People can, first of all, get in touch on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. They can reach out, send a note, Stoyan Yankov. You can see my name, get in touch. They can go to my webpage, organizations who want to get in touch and might need some support in applying these things in the shape of a keynote, program, coaching program, a training. Feel free to get in touch. I would love to come and support the forward-thinking organizations. People can go and find the podcast, obviously, Productivity Mastery, available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Google Podcast, Spotify, you name it. And of course, the book, Perform: The Unsexy Truth About Startup Success. You can find it on Amazon. Now it's available also in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, but my co-author is Spanish, so I don't know how to pronounce it. But you can see it. It's a little bit of a different color, white with red. The original one is blue with red. So you can, if you're Spanish speaking personality, you can find the book in Spanish as well. Soon to be in audio. And Yeah, that's it. I mean, get in touch. Me and John, we love to do podcasts, both as hosts, but also as guests. So make sure to get him on board. Make sure to subscribe to Deep Leadership once again. It's amazing. I listen to it when I travel, when I'm in the gym, and it's food for my brain. So yeah, thank you so much, John, and thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you very much. We're going to put links in the show notes for all of Stoyan's resources. I highly encourage you to check them out and get better. You will get better if you follow him. And if you get this book, you're going to become a better leader. So Stoyan, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing this unique perspective and teaching us some things that we can learn so that we can be better performers as leaders. Thank you very much. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to Deep Leadership. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share so we can continue to build a world with better bosses. Until next time, this is John Rennie saying take care and lead well.